You're listening to This Week in Real Estate with your host, Rob Golfi. Brought to you by the Golfi Team at RE/MAX Escarpment, featuring Conrad Zarini, broker-owner of RE/MAX Escarpment Realty Inc., and Brian Hogben, owner of Mission 35 Mortgages. Let's hear what's going on in real estate this week.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Good. Where are you, Rob?
I'm in Vancouver. I just finished the ride, the Mountaineer train ride from Banff to Vancouver, and
nice.
it was a great trip. Like going through the mountains and everything, and seeing the sights and everything. It's an experience. I don't know. Like it's. The second day, the second half day, I was kind of okay. Enough on the train. I'm like, you know what I mean? I've seen enough. But,
I saw the one post where the lady was like, "I can see your face on a billboard."
Yeah, no, I know. So I'll tell you, a lot of great people. We had we were up above on top with glass all the way around, and it was a lot of great people. Most people that work on these trains and stuff, like they're all over the world. They're here on 2-year visas, and they're hoping to get their residency at one time. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was like I'll tell you, a friend of mine booked the trip, and I'm going like, I know my credit card was being charged, right, a couple of times, and I go, how much was this trip? Like, I think I could have gone to Europe for a lot cheaper for than. I'm telling you, it's not cheap. Like, I mean, you could drink all beverages and liquor and everything all included for the 2 days. And but
there's a tax credit this year too, Rob. Isn't there a tax credit to travel domestically, just in case?
Yes.
Well, I better not write off every one of them. I have to let a few go through. But otherwise, but yeah, no, the food was great. They had a dining cart that we would go to lunch for breakfast and lunch, and then at night we would get off at 6:30. The first night, and then we just go for dinner ourselves anywhere where we stayed, and then but last night we got in like, I don't know, like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and just because, you know how trains, they sometimes have to park over to let another train go through, and I guess something happened down the line, and we got stuck for 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours, so that's why we got in late last night. It was, like usually we get in around 6:30, but otherwise. It was a pretty good experience. It's a bucket list experience. But I mean, for me, a day and a half would have been good. With my ADD and everything else, like sitting on a train, like. But anyway, the seats were comfortable. I can't complain. Seats were good, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, I was trying to look see what prices of homes in Banff are. I'll tell you, Banff was gorgeous. I understand why. Kids, they finish university, they go and say, I'm moving out west to work, and they work, like, I get it. They're freaking calm and collective, and they're working in a beautiful environment. And I'll tell you, like, it's like I wanted to pack and move and say, hey, this is where I'm landing. So, but it was pretty cool. But Conrad, I see the numbers, and August to September, it worked out. It didn't budge much. Have we landed?
You know what's interesting? I think we're getting there. I found I call it the over 30 rule. So if you look at appreciation over the last 2 years, anybody that is over 30%, and which is, believe it or not, it's Niagara and Hamilton and surrounding. So they've got a little bit to go. But when we talk about Burlington, Halton, and Oakville, they're under 30. And we're seeing 2% increase in values in townhomes and 2 stories in Oakville. So I think, you know how it kind of carries through Toronto, Halton, Hamilton, Niagara. So I think we're probably 1 month away from prices being leveled off here. But I'll tell you something, there's great opportunities here. Number one searched neighborhood on our website, and you got to understand, we cover all that area, was Fort Erie. So it's value conscious consumers are really looking at areas like that, and good opportunities around the water too, as a matter of fact, Crystal Beach. So yeah.
The only place that had a drop of month over month was a big drop was Brantford that I saw. Not if I'm correct here, and then but Hamilton was up 2%. Like I'm talking proper Hamilton, not and then Burlington up 2%. St. Catharines up 2%. Niagara Falls stayed at 0. Welland dropped 3%. Oakville down 1%, and Toronto they got a lift of 6% from So things are kind of settled, I think. And so it's like, I mean, it's hard to gauge now year over year. Like, I mean, like, because 2021, you can't go, like it was just a crazy year. So, I mean, we almost have to let another year go by and figure out the numbers. Like once we go June of 2023, then we can go year over year, I think. Yeah. Like, forget about anything in the first quarter of 2022. Forget that. Like, I mean, it's just insane numbers.
Well, 19 is a good benchmark, and we're seeing with our appointments. As a matter of fact, our appointments and sales are kind of mirroring the fall of 2019. So, I don't know if you remember the fall of 2019 to the end. It really had some. There was gas in the gas tank. Nice. It was a nice steady fall. Mm-hmm.
I was talking.
We're reaching out to a lot of our pre-approved buyers from 2020 and 2021, and you'd be surprised how many of them are getting back into the game now, even with higher rates, because the reduction in the price there, their down payment is going way further. Like a down payment, like for some of those prices that were over $1 million, the down payment was $200,000. Now, for some of those ones that are in the 9s or 850s or even lower, you're getting in for $70,000 as a down payment. So they're all of a sudden like, these people are finally starting to say, hey, I can get in now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, it was in the paper that they're saying a lot of people are starting to come back into the market, the smart ones. I'm going to tell you, I truly believe this. There is a small window. You buyers out there, this is that small window to get in, because I'm going to tell you, once we get into the new year and we hit February, I'm not going to say it's going to be like multiple offers, but I don't think the buyers are going to be able to negotiate as much as they are now. I really think that next year, once this year's settled next year, I mean, it's going to be a decent market. I don't think we're going to get hit as hard. Like the only people that got hit hard are the people that bought in February, March this year. That's it.
Yeah, and I agree. And once you see, whenever that opportunity comes for the Bank of Canada does level off, whether it's October, I don't know, but whenever they do level off, then people be like, oh, it's the bottom. And like you said, Rob, people be jumping back in again. They'll be like, oh, I got to hit it before it jumps up again.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Brian, is it wise? Should I just on some of my properties, just, lock in on a 5-year mortgage, or should I just keep going variable? Like, that's a tough one. And I know you're not, you could predict the future, but
I wish. But you know what I think is, I think it's different for everybody. And I think for investors, like one thing I think is good for me and good for investors, have a bit of both, right?
Yeah.
For someone who's got multiple properties, take a 5-year fixed on one or two of them, take a variable, depending on how many you have. Because God, I've been more wrong than right over the past 12 months and listening to people. So diversity, it's just like a stock portfolio. You wouldn't put all your money into one bank. So don't put all your money into one term. Now, if you happen to have just one property right now, I think you really got to look at what your goals are. And I think we're looking at budgeting again and affordability, right? So you just said, I'm saying, hey, listen, what's your payment? That's one of the first questions we're asking people now, is just like, what can you afford? Not what do you want to buy? What can you afford? Right? Okay, you can afford $4,500 a month. That equates to X purchase price. If that's where they want to buy, maybe they can do maybe if it's at the top of their budget, then we're saying you really should consider a fix then, because you're already at the top of your budget. It's a little bit different conversation. Whereas if it's not at the top of their budget, well, you know what? They are forecasting a decrease in maybe 18 months. We don't know, but usually a recession follows an increase. Maybe you can ride it out because you're not at the peak. So I think, bringing it back to those basics, like what can you afford? What can you afford?
Yeah. Now, are we scheduled for another rate increase anytime soon? Is there a date set?
Yeah, October 26th. It's going to be when the Bank of Canada meets again. And I've seen quarter point, I've seen 3/4 point. 1
point. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you,
so,
if it's a half point, I'll tell you something. If it's a half point, that's going to send a message to the market saying, you know what, they're gonna hold it here. I think I said at the other call 2 weeks ago. I think we're going to see U.S. go further than us, probably get to that 5 overnight rate. We're going to probably be maybe that low 4 overnight rate, and then we're going to see some interesting thing happening to the Canadian dollar. But so be it. It's going to be good for exporters and people that sell abroad. So it could hold well for the economy. The wild card in this whole thing is unemployment. Like it's, I don't know if you saw the Spectator today, front page of the paper, there was 6-7 companies looking for people for jobs, like job openings. So I'll tell you, it's a very interesting thing. History is not being kind to us, because usually when this happens, you start to see unemployment numbers rise, but we're still seeing them hold steady at where they are. And in the U.S., they're really holding steady, and that's what the Fed's really scared of right now.
well, yeah, there is a shortage of people out there, and I mean, I get it. I understand that people's mortgages are increasing, and their spending is going to be less. So that is going to take effect on the economy, but people are still going to have their jobs, aren't they? I don't know.
The thing on that, Rob, is I think there's a small portion of people that it's affecting on a monthly basis. The big lagging effect is renewals, right? Because a lot of the renewals, there's a lot of people that still have a fixed rate that might be 2%, 2.5%, or even with an alternative lender. Those renewals, and this is where the Bank of Canada's just got to be cognizant of it, because those renewals are going to renew now at double the rate. And that might not happen for another 12, 18 months.
To 2 years, another couple of years.
So we're going to start seeing going at this pace. I personally, I think interest rates, it's a tool, like we said before, right? It's the hammer, but it's a hammer that has a big lagging effect that we haven't even truly seen the impact of yet.
This is like the subprime mortgage or mortgages in 2008 and 9, but they all happened at the same time, or was that a 3-year event? Like because remember they were giving subprime mortgages, and Conrad, you know more about that.
Yeah.
They got a mortgage interest at 1%, then it increased to 5 to 6% or whatever it was.
And that was happening within a 12-month period, sometimes 24 months, where that balloon payment would come into play. And that's what was happening there, because household creation, they made a mistake. Household creation was around 900,000, $1 million, and they were building for like 1.2, 1.3 million. So they oversupplied at that time, which occurred. It's really interesting now, because if you really take a look at it, let's do a deep dive, and let's just, for numbers' sake, a third of the population rents. A third of the population doesn't have a mortgage. The other third has a mortgage. Of those people that have a mortgage, what's the percentage of them that are going to be teeter-tottering? Like, I don't know, 25% of them. So we're talking 7%, 8% of the population that will be a little jittery. Like I'm giving good numbers. So really, at the end of the day, I don't know why they're thinking this is going to really affect. Like when you think about it, when you think of 33% are, have their homes paid for, another 20% are okay. That's 50% owning like 80 or 90% of the houses. I don't know what they think is going to happen. I think the leveling off this year, people are going to get adjusted to these rates, and you know what? Maybe they come after inflation in another direction, because this hammer, I don't know if it's going to really work.
No, I think it's just kind of stuttered everybody a little bit, but I noticed there's a little bit more, Conrad, my numbers basically on my team, I noticed in the last week of August and going into September, I found that the activity was just a little bit busier. It's starting to pick up a bit. Are you finding that? See that on the...
We're finding that as well too on the applications. We're getting a lot more applications coming in. That's our leading indicator right now for inquiries and applications. Way more right now than it was in the beginning of September. It's actually escalated even in the first week of October over September.
But I'll tell you something, Rob. You know what you're seeing though? You've got a double play, because I look at all your numbers and look at that. You're outpacing the board. So you're outpacing the trading area by about 10 or 15 points. So that means people are going with tried and true, you know what I mean? They want results driven agents. So I tell you, that's why you're seeing, number one, you're seeing an uplift in purchases, but you're also you're beyond the spread of where the market is right now. So and that bodes well for you and your whole team, and that's something that you're seeing as well, as a lift as well, because people now gravitate. They're not going to take chances. They want to make sure this happens, and people with a system and the whole 9 yards, and that's what consumers are looking for.
That's awesome. Awesome. Guys, listen, I appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week. Okay?
Have fun, Rob.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
Bye, guys.